Hey guys, I'm back again. A friend of mine sent me a message, and he asked me one time, he said that whenever you're in a tent can't do it all. And said that when you're in a tent, said that the rain will beat down on it and sometimes soak through the thin walls. The wind and the cold will soak through the thin walls. And he also said that the rain will also come underneath the tent and float it away. And he said the worst thing is the widowmakers. All these branches, of course not these little branches, but the big branches that are wanting to come down and hit you on the head and kill you. He wanted to know, is there a shelter that could cover all of that? And there is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. There's no reason to show it during high winds, and there's no reason to show it to you in the rain because that makes for bad filming. And you know how I feel about bad filming. So let's go find a couple of trees and see what we can get going. Alright, this right here looks pretty good right here, pretty promising. I just got to clear some of this stuff out of the way. Alright, now what I'm going to do, I found a couple of trees right here I'm going to use. This is going to be one of them, and that and over there is going to be the other one. You need two stout trees to build the shelter to. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take off my pack, and I'm going to strap my pack to this tree right over here. Let's see what I got in here. Alright, I think I got my bungee cords in here. Yep, sure do. My good old trusty bungee cords. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bungee up my pack to the tree, and I'm gonna take my good old trusty machete, and then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna cut me down the two trees that I need to start out this shelter. So, well, I'll just set this here for now. I'm gonna get this out real quick before I do that. What I got here, this is pretty much the basis of my shelter. 2 coils of rope, and then I got my tarp, and then I got my my camo blanket on the inside, which is pretty much the heart of the shelter. And I'll show you what that's for. So, all right, let me go cut down a couple of trees, and we'll get started on the shelter. All right, now what I'm doing here is I got my I got my Alice pack attached to a tree, and that's where it's going to spend the night. Now what I'm going to do, I got this here tree. Take two big strong trees spaced somewhere in the neighborhood of about 8 feet apart, and I'm going to clear out this one tree that's in the way right here. That vine, I don't think that vine's hurting anything, but this tree here's got to go. Alright, now this right here is going to be perfect right here with this cluster of trees. I got 2 good straight trees right here, and I'm going to sacrifice them. I don't always like cutting trees down, but you know, sometimes you do in circumstances like this. Sometimes you can pick them up off the ground. But anyway, alright. Alright, I got this in here done. Now what I'm going to do, clear that branch off, and then I'm going to cut it off about right here. Alright, now I got my 2 logs right here, or branches, or sticks, or whatever you want to call them. Okay? Alright, now, first thing I want to do is I'm going to take my rope here. Got to find the end of it. It's getting tangled up. And I want to start out by tying it on one tree. Okay? So I'm going to tie it right here, probably about belt high. Alright, what I'm going to do now, alright, I got both my branches on each side. What I'm going to do now, I got my rope tied around the tree. So what I want to do to start with is I'm going to lay one end on the ground, okay? And then I'm going to loop this over, okay? That's what you do, is loop that over one time. Pull it to you. It's going to fall a little bit. That's okay. Alright, wrap that around the back of the tree. Then you take this, lay this up to where it's somewhat even, okay? Then you pull it through, just like that. Throw that over. Okay, now you got both of them pretty even right there, right? Then you pull that good and tight. Go under again. Now what you want to do is come around the tree once more. Okay? And then you're going to stretch your rope. I'm supposed to be on the bottom. There you go. Stretch your rope down low like this right here. And then you lift up. And then this is when you do the same thing. Well, hold on. You put the rope on the inside. And you get it about the same, get it where it's level. Pull it tight. And go around. Then pick up the log. Put it on the tree. Pull it tight. Okay? You want to go around the tree again. Back around the log. Pull that tight again. Okay. Now, lift this one up. Okay. Come around the back side. Alright. Hey, cut that off and come around here behind me. Now, couldn't get a good sight from right over there, but after I looped it around this first log, I'm going to show you what I did on the second one. Okay? Because you couldn't see very good. After I had it pulled tight and looped around the outside of the tree of the log, you simply lift this one up and lay it on here. Then you give that a pull around tight. Okay? Then you can cross over the tree again. Okay? And run around over here. Carry the camera around over here. All the way over here. Alright, now, this is how you end up with the base of it. Okay? What you do is once you're looped around right there, you want to loop it around one more time. Okay? Now you can do this. You can start out without these. You can start out by doing the my survival rope hammock if you had to, but I don't like to because it doesn't do as good a job. But you just start looping it like this now. And what you're doing is you're creating you a mattress. A little bit of support. Okay, so I'm gonna loop this up and then we'll cut you back on when we get to the other end. You can see so far, this is what I've got. And for those of you that want to know, that is 100 feet of rope. Okay, now let's go on to the next step. Alright, now what I've done now is I got a knot tied center of the tree, okay, with my other rope. Okay, that right there was 100 feet of rope. Now I got my other 100 feet of rope. And what I'm doing now is I'm setting me up a ridge line. Now what you can do is you can set it up to where it's slightly going downhill if you want to. But I don't know if it's necessary. Okay, now first thing what you got to do is when you go around a tree like this right here, as you can see, you're in the center of the tree there, and right here you're not. Okay, so what I like to do is put the rope over, okay, and then I give it a pull in that direction. okay? And that way that'll put it back in the center of the tree. Now what I'm gonna do for right now is I'm gonna wrap this around this tree twice, okay? All right, now I'm just gonna leave this. I'm gonna leave this rope hanging right over here because for one thing I may have to tighten it up. For one thing I may have to tighten it up, and for another thing I may have to I got more I got to do to it, and I may have to tighten it up too. I'm not thinking. It's getting low. All right. And what I got is I got my tarp here, a good heavy duty tarp. This is pretty neat, okay? Now with years of experience, you learn that whenever you're cooped up in a tarp or a tent or something, it's got to breathe, okay? Now what this is you've heard of moving blankets for moving furniture? Well, that is all this is. This is a moving blanket, okay? And on one end, I put 2 grommets, and on the other end, I have put 4 grommets. Wait a minute. Okay, this is the end with 2 grommets. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. Okay, now I put either 4 or 5 grommets on here. Put 4 on this end. Now, the beauty of this is if you wrap a shelter in a regular blanket, it's not going to be able to breathe and it's going to attract moisture. But the way this is sewn, the heavy duty stitches, I can't show it to you. I don't think so. Aim that up at the light. I don't think you can see it. But everywhere that it's stitched, it's like a tiny hole, okay? So now the way you go about doing this is you take your and I've added extra grommets to this for strength too, okay? What you do is you lay it on the ground. All right, you lay it on the ground under your shelter, and you lay your blanket right here under the ground on your shelter. Okay, now what you got to do is the first thing you do is you take your blanket, and I'm gonna grab my paracord out of my pack in a minute, and you tie off your paracord. You pull up your blanket, and then you pull up your tarp, and then you tie this off at one time, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to get the paracord out of the blanket, out of my pack, and then we're going to tie this off, and then I'll cut you back on. All right, now I was wrong when I told you that there a minute ago. You have to put the blanket on first, and then you put the tarp on, okay? It's been a long time since I've done this. So, all right, what I got here is I got me a pile of paracord here. Got another pile here. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie the blanket off, and then I'm gonna show you how I wrap it. All right, now, what I got right here, now part of the beauty of this, sometimes I forget things, but sometimes I like to remember and actually explain. But what I did is I tied through these loops right here, okay? Now, you remember I put the rope under here. I got that rope in there for support, like a mattress. I got this tied off, and so I've got an area that I can lay on. Now, the beauty of doing it this way is that when you wrap up around it, not only have you got a place to lay on, but you're creating another layer, so there's 2 spaces here that the air can't get through from the bottom, okay? So what you do is you just come up here, and you just simply throw it over your ridge line, okay? Now, okay, and you just throw it over the other side. And so now what I do now is I'm going to tie my tarp off, and I'm going to wrap it in the tarp. So that'll be the next step. All right, now the next part of this is going to be my good old carabiners. Okay, now as you can see, what I've done is I got my 2 layers right here on this side, and I got it thrown over a ridge line. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to have an insulated wall right here, okay? Now, the inside of this is very extremely small. It ain't like it's going to be a living space. You know, it's not like you're gonna move in and raise kids, but the smaller the better. It's gonna hold in the heat. Okay. Now, the beauty behind all these grommets is the way you can hook up your tarp. Okay. Now, the bad thing is it's been years since I've done this, and I got a new blanket. My other one was destroyed, so I didn't put in enough grommets. There needs to be more grommets down the middle so that I can hook the tarp up. But I'm going to wind up wrapping it up, and I'll tie it all off with paracord anyway. But basically what you do is, let me get this right, you just take some carabiners and you clip it on. Clip it on just like that right there, okay? And now what you're gonna do is, this tarp here is long enough that what you're gonna do is I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna wrap the whole thing round and round, okay? So I'm gonna wrap it around and tie it off, and then I'll show you what we do for the ends. All right, now what I'm doing right here is I'm folding this over, and you may have to kind of manipulate this around a little bit, but basically what you wanna do is you wanna tie off one end. Okay, let me get rid of these. What you want to do is tie off one end, tie it together, okay? And if there's room, these trees really should have been a little bit further apart. Okay, but what you want to do is tie one end off. All right, got that tied. And I'm gonna wrap this around, okay? And then I'm going to loop it in here, and I'll have to get some more paracord, because sometimes shorter pieces are better than longer pieces, and that's what you want to do right there. You want to sew this whole thing up into like a tube, and just continue to go around it. Okay, that's what you got to do right there. I'm gonna go through here, and I'm gonna tie this off on another one, and I'm gonna continue around it. Okay, so I'm gonna get another one. Alright, now as you can see, we got it all set up like a big old tube, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is, out here on the end, I'm going to be using some material that's similar to Gore-Tex. And what I keep is just a couple of triangles, okay? That way I can just fit them in there and clamp them in there. But what they are is they're breathable. They're like Gore-Tex. They're breathable, they're windproof, and they're waterproof. So, what I got to do here now, I'll just double it up, and I take it and I just shove it inside, because this is going to be where my feet is. Okay, I just kind of shove it inside right there and get me a couple of clips, and this is the downhill end right here, so I ain't got to worry about water getting in it because it's all aiming downhill. And what I do is I just take this and I just kind of fold it all inside here like this, and it's going to be breathable. What I do is I put these clips in here. It's kind of sloppy, but it's pretty effective. I've used these clips before. I like these right here. Let's see right here. Let me get this out. Take this here. Alright. And just clip them in like it right there. And then take the rest and fold it under. And that's all you got to do for this end. Now, if it was very, very extremely cold, I'm going to clip that other end and then just drag the whole thing down towards the tree right here so that I have me a little bit of room. Now, if it's very, very extremely cold, what I would do is on the other end, I would put a door on it too, and I would close myself in, but it's really not that cold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave the other end open. Alright, what I'm going to do next is the part that is where you avoid the widowmakers, that you keep the branches from falling on you. Because right now you're going to keep the cold out because you got a nice insulated walls, you got a nice tarp over your head, you got the double wall padding underneath you to keep the air from freezing you from the bottom half. Okay, so what we do now, what you do now is you just start looping the rope tight as you can get it. Go around one time. This is why another reason why you don't use too big of trees, so that you can make it around them. Okay, go around here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loop around and round until I have no rope left. All right, now this is the beauty of the shelter right here. Everybody's always talking about high winds and branches coming down and getting you. There's not a whole lot you can do about that, and you can't do a whole lot about it in a tent, that's for sure. But this mesh right here, what this is I got some ropes on either side of the tree, and then I did that deal to where I looped over, and I got a rope in the center of the tree, and then I got just ropes all just crisscrossed, because chances are, if a branch is going to come down, it's going to hit this, and it's either going to slow it down, or it's going to bounce off of you, because that's plenty springy right there. That's some high quality rope. Just don't go buy some cheapo rope and do this though. Buy some good, like maybe military grade. But I've got it run all the way down. See, now I'm gonna be down below this nice and safe, and I ain't got to worry about no branches. If they hit, they're gonna deflect right off. And if they do reach me, they're gonna be slowed down considerably. Okay. So now let's see what else we got in here. Alright, I got me a nice blanket. Let me get this thing undone. There we go. Alright, now for once, I actually brought a little bit of comforts of home. I got me a blanket. Now, if this is extreme cold weather, like in the winter time, more than likely, I would bring a wool blanket. But it's not that bad right now. So, I got me a blanket in there now that I can cover up with at night. I got me a nice pillow right here. Now, Nicholas is always saying that I am never doing anything very daring. So, this is for you, Nick. Do not remove under penalty of law. How you like that, Nick? All right. Oh, if you guys are just wondering, Nick's not filming. My dad is filming. Say hi, Dad.
Hi.
All right. Now, what I'm gonna do. Okay, this is the hard part. Now, getting in. But once you're in, it's plenty comfy. And these things right here can help you out a good bit too, okay? And like I said before, like a friend of mine had said, I called him a big feller. If you're a big feller, you may not can fit in here. So, oh, and my boots, later on, when I'm actually sleeping in here at night, I'll take my boots off and I'll hang them from underneath. Okay? So, you just take one foot, slide one foot in, okay? I'm holding on to everything up here. This is another thing, another part of it. And you just grab your other foot, and you force it in. The reason this is called extreme weather shelter is also it's extremely hard to get in, but it can be done. Oh man! And you just wiggle your way in. See? The only thing, you don't want to drink a whole lot of coffee before you go in here. Alright. Now don't that look cozy? Whew, it's actually pretty doggone comfortable in here. And I made sure, and I made this end up just a little bit higher. Okay? So, because you always want your head in just a little bit higher, but you can just get right in here. I can curl up. Oh. Now don't that look cozy? Bring on the snow, the rain, and the branches. Oh. Alright, now what we got to do is we got to see about getting something a little bit hot to drink. Okay? Now, the way we're going to go about that is I got another cool something to show you. Right here in this bag, my friend Pedal Pusher 101. His name's Jim. He's got a website. He's got a YouTube channel. He does videos. Go check him out. Pedal Pusher 101. Anyway, he inspired me because he was talking about another device that I had, that the alcohol stove stand, and he said, he said you could lay a tablet on it, or a wet fire tab or a S-bit tab. Well, it got me to thinking about this old stove that I'd started on, and believe it or not, what this is, it's a plastic handle, and you can use this thing as either a scooper or a digging implement, a digging tool, or you could use it as a spoon or a stirring stick, okay? But basically, I'm going to show you, this is also a stove. I'm going to show you how it comes apart and what I can make out of it. All right, now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how this thing goes together, okay? Let's get rid of these. All right, let's get this out. Got coffee. Show you what all this is in a minute. All right, now the way this thing works right here is I got a handle, plastic handle. I put a little dimple in here in case I need to use it as a bearing block on a bow drill. But basically, all you do is you pull it apart, okay? And then these rods are here. Now, not only can this thing be used as like a shovel, but these rods are all bent, and if you had to, you could use them as stakes on a like to stake down your tarp, like a tent tarp. Okay, now all you do with these is I got these little holes in here, and you slide these in. Okay, slide them in just like that right there, and they cross. Okay, now these are adjustable, and you stab them in the ground, because if you wanted to, you could even run these things up real high. I'm trying to hurry because it's getting dark. I don't know if you can see this very well. So if you have to, you can adjust these things up real high like this right here. But what I like to do is I'll just barely put them like that, okay, to where they're sticking out. Now what you do with it is you stab it in the ground. Is that in the scene pretty good? All right. What you do is you stab that in the ground like that right there, and you just barely have them up. Now the cool part about this is you don't need a windscreen because this is so close. Okay, ain't that cool? All right, you just barely, you can adjust these things right here. Now, inside this little tray right here, if it really got ugly, you could use some sort of liquid fuel if you had to in an emergency situation. Or you can buy blocks of like this Duraflame fire starter, take your machete, cut off pieces. Or you could get like some of the military issue, the old hexamine blocks. But what I'm using is the new pyro gel packs. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this, let's see, I think I got some matches in here. Nope, maybe they're in here. Nope, maybe they're in my pocket. Yep, they're in my pocket. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this stuff right here. Now this pyro gel, what you do with it is it's, I don't know if you can see it or not. Is that showing up right there? It's clear. All right, what you do with it is you squeeze it out into here. And it's just a gel. And this pack, one pack lasts about 20 minutes. Okay? Now, it can boil water depending on the temperature. I believe in this temperature right here it will. Now what you do with that right there, then you squeeze that gel out. Hope these matches are good. Hope they ain't getting no moisture in them. And then you just light the gel up. Now believe it or not, I don't know why, but for some reason the military says that this gel is actually, I hate to even say this on video, but they claim it's edible, and I don't know why. I don't know why you'd ever eat it, unless they're thinking that maybe if you got caught behind enemy lines and they fed it to you, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, what I do now, you can see the color of it. It's starting to light up real good. Now when I put this on it, you don't need a windshield, because you're going to be able to put this on here, and you want a little bit of air going to it so that it'll have a complete burn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that thing get going, and I'm going to put about 5 cups of water in here, and then we're going to let that heat up. By the time this gel is gone, after the 20 minutes is up, this water is going to be plenty hot. And see, that gel's going good right there. And they claim that even that gel, I haven't tested it in the wind yet, but they claim that it's some good stuff even in the wind. So this is a percolator, but instead of actually percolating a little bit of coffee, I want to use, there's those other matches. So I got a couple of packs of oatmeal right here. So what I'll do is I'll eat some oatmeal tomorrow, and maybe a pack of oatmeal tonight, and then I got some coffee. See, that's the reason I didn't use this as an actual percolator. Okay, so, all right, we're gonna let that heat up for a little while, and then we'll have some coffee. Alright, it's done went and got very extremely dark on us, and I wound up getting in a hurry, but basically that's it. That's the extreme weather shelter. So, and this is my coffee pot right here that I got on my little spoon stove. I hope you got to see it because it got pretty dadgum dark. But anyway, you can see that's pretty much the way it works right there. It's a neat little stove. It's either a spoon, or it's a digging shovel, or it's a scooper, it's a stirring stick, whatever you can think of, and it's also a stove. So, alright, I've had a lot of fun. I hope y'all can still see this because it's done got very dark on us, but I'm glad I got the shelter up. So, alright, say goodnight, Dad.
Good night.
Alright, see y'all next time.